Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Friday's feature race at Aqueduct is the $100,000 Interborough Stakes to be contested at 7 furlongs for fillies and mares. Before we start with the analysis, let me remind you of the nice contest presented by Woodbine on DRF.com. Cast your fan vote for Horse of the Year and enter to win a trip to the Queen's Plate this June at Woodbine. Find out more at DRF.com/eclipse. Here's the field for the Interborough, again at 7 furlongs, originally scheduled on Monday. A lot of wet weather in New York forced the race to Friday. The number 5, Dawn the Destroyer, morning line favorite at 2-1, exploded off the layoff last time out for Kieran McLaughlin, Mike. Buyer speed figure of 96, by far and away her best, and she was validated when 2 horses came back to win, including the runner-up Catherine the Wise, who popped a 102 in the state-bred La Verdad in her next start.
Yeah, she may not be that easy to take a really short price on in this race, Dan, but she was really impressive in that win last time. It's interesting because she's a filly who she always felt like she had a lot of potential for Kieran, and she just had trouble putting races together. But she came back off that layoff last time, and it's pretty clear that she's never been better than she was in that race. That was a super impressive win. She beat a really good horse in the process. You know, I don't know how short a price I would take on her, Dan, but I got a feeling that she's going to be able to go with these horses.
DRF's David Grenning reported that this mare had some breathing issues, which necessitated the layoff from the summer into the fall, and maybe Dawn the Destroyer has those issues behind her, and she's ready to really run to her potential, because there was always been a little bit of hype about her at the beginning of her career. Timeform U.S. pace projector has the 2 Yorkie Poo Princess, the 3 Sour occupying the first 2 spots after the first quarter mile, and those 2 horses kind of battled it out last time out in the Garland of Roses going 6 furlongs. I thought the veteran Yorkie Poo Princess ran quite well that day. Sour went after her in earnest entering the turn. Yorkie Poo Princess never let her by, and at the end of the day they were both set up for the big favorite Vertical Oak. Yorkie Poo Princess has to stretch out 7, but if Sour leaves her alone, she's got a chance to wire him.
Yeah, I think that's true. I just wonder what the chances are that Sour actually leaves her alone. I mean, I don't see why if you're entering Sour in this race you would do that, because it just seems pretty clear that she needs the lead to be at her best, and it seems like Yorkie Poo Princess does as well. Yorkie Poo Princess has the inside advantage. I think she will be going in this race. I just don't see how Sour sits off this horse. If she does, she's losing her best chance to win. But she does make it a little bit easier for Yorkie Poo Princess, I guess.
As for Sour, she's coming off a disappointing effort at Laurel, where she was the beaten even money favorite in the 38 Go-Go Stakes, but perhaps she had some excuses that day. I think the mile is a little bit far for her, and Grenning reported that she came out of that race with a respiratory infection. Despite that, she still finished ahead of Forever Liesel, who came back to win the ladies last week at Aqueduct with a 95 buyer. I just think she's in a tough position. If she tries to gun for the lead, she's going to duel with Yorkie Poo Princess, and that could hurt her chances. And I'm not sure she's that good rating and passing horses.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a tough situation for her. The cutback from the mile last time is clearly a benefit to her. She doesn't want to go that far. The only problem is she can't. It doesn't seem like she can make the lead all on her own in this race, and that's when all of her best races have come. When she makes the lead and is allowed to control it, she can't do that with Yorkie Poo Princess in here. When I watched the Garland of Roses 2 back, it looked to me like Junior Alvarado wanted to concede the lead early in that race, and he just couldn't do it. He had to go up and contest it with her. She paid the price late. I think she's in for more of the same in this race.
To number 8, Your Love. Many folks will argue that she is the horse to beat for trainer Chad Brown, dropping out of a pair of graded stakes races. The last time she ran 7 furlongs, I thought she looked good, winning that restricted shine again at Saratoga. She ran just fine in the Gallant Bloom 2 starts back. And last time out in the Go for Wand, that was a tough race. I mean, Marley's Freedom's one of the better sprinter milers in the division, and it was tough for closers to make up ground that day. Your Love really didn't fire. From a class standpoint, from a tactical speed standpoint, she's got a really nice opportunity here and a good outside post.
I agree with all that stuff. I mean, I don't think she's any kind of superstar, Dan, and I doubt that there's a lot of improvement left in her, but she's pretty good on her best day. I'm putting a line through the Go for Wand. It was a tough race anyway. She missed the break completely in there. She has a huge excuse for that race, and otherwise her races are rock solid. I think she, in a lot of ways, she might be the horse to beat.
Miss Mimosa was supplemented to this race after it was redrawn, and Bill Mott's just been on fire all over the country with his horses. Miss Mimosa scored very nicely last time out in a non-winners of 2 other than over a muddy track. I thought all in all she ended up with a good trip. Tracking 2 horses on the turn, angling out 3 wide and getting it done. I'm just not sure about this distance. What do you think of her turning back to 7?
Yeah, I think the 7 could be okay for her. Obviously she was turning back out of longer races last time when she won the 1-turn mile. The real question for her is, how good is she, and does she class up with some better and faster horses in here? Because as well as she ran last time and as easily as she won, I agree with you. She got a perfect trip. And it's a different situation now when you're running against Jump Ruler and DJ's favorite. These horses that she's running against in this spot are way better than those horses.
No, I agree. I think that was kind of a soft field she beat last time out, but she is in sharp form. One of the keys to this race is to how the number 1 Silent Sonnet will adapt to the dirt. She has competed exclusively on synthetic and turf in Canada, where she's done some very good work sprinting. A graded stakes winner over the Synth, coming into this race off a couple of 90 buyers. Didn't think much of that Bessarabian. The winner, Moonlit Promise, is a nice horse. Not sure really what was behind Silent Sonnet that day. And the question is, can she handle dirt?
Yeah, it's a huge question for her. I don't think the rail draw did her any favors in this race with the 2 speeds right alongside. We'll just see, because, as good as she is, and she's a multiple stakes winner on turf, she's a grade 3 winner on synth, she's clearly a talented horse, but she has to be even better on dirt, and I'm not so sure I'd want to bet on that proposition.
Second off the layoff for the 4, Short Cakes, and that's been a good move for David Canizzo over the years. We have a formulator fact for this 20-to-1 morning line shot. Past 5 years, older dirt sprinters going second off the bench, 12 for 42. That's almost 30% and almost a $4 ROI. Short Cakes showed surprising speed last time out in her first start off a 6.5-month layoff. All in all, she ran well. The winner of that race, though, came back to run second and was a well-beaten second behind Catherine the Wise in the La Verdad. Not sure if she classes up, and not sure she gets that same trip.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher in a race like this. She's actually pretty good. I thought she ran well in that first start off the layoff. She was a little fresh in there and wound up going a little too fast on the lead and couldn't hold on at the end, but she ran well considering she was off the layoff. It feels like she might find this competition a little bit tough, but she likes this track. She can get the right kind of trip in here. She's run a relatively fast race over the surface before. There are things to like about her at a price.
Looks like the 6 on her way, a private purchase since her most recent start, and she finds herself with Linda Rice right now. Timeform US argues that she's been up against slow paces in her last 2 races. If you go back 3 starts, she earned an 87 buyer speed figure. That would put her in the mix. The issue there is she was entered for 62.5 that day and was over a sloppy track. We should have some wet weather this week in New York.
Yeah, maybe she catches a wet track and that moves her up. I'm not so sure that her best race, really makes her a legit contender in this spot. Linda Rice doesn't take that many shots, so if she's going to enter here, and if she's the one who indeed wanted to run her in this race, maybe she's just doing really well, but she's in a very tough spot.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the $100,000 Interborough Stakes. Mike was really taken with Dawn the Destroyer's last race. All the speed figure metrics agree with him. I like the way that she overcame kind of a moderate pace that day and just dominated in the lane. If she runs back to that race, she's going to be very tough. But I am hoping that Yorkie Poo Princess at least dissuades Sauer a little bit. She was able to outsprint her for the lead in the Garland of Roses, never let her by. She'll have to get the 7, but I think she might be around that 4-to-1 or maybe drift up to 5 as we head towards post time. So I'm going to go 2-5-7-1. Mike, you like Dawn the Destroyer on top?
Yeah, I liked her last race quite a bit. It'll be interesting to see how she classes up with these better horses, but if she can run back to that race, she's going to be tough in here.
The Interborough Stakes is the feature race at Aqueduct on Friday. Remember to cast your vote for Horse of the Year and have an opportunity to win a trip to Woodbine's Queen's Plate, the first jewel in the Canadian Triple Crown this June. DRF.com/eclipse is where you need to go for all the details. Approximate post time for the Interborough, 3:58 Eastern on Friday. Best of luck.